Today we're going to be going over setting up a 2 LAN port unit on a Paramount. So utilizing that second LAN port for your cameras. Okay. So first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and log into your system. Default credentials are admin for the username and the password is going to be 123456. Go ahead and log in. And then over here, I'm logged in via the web. But if you're following along from a local monitor, the options are going to be identical. The one difference you're going to see is over here at the top, I have live display, playback, search and backup, intelligent analytics, and function panel. I'm going to go ahead and click on function panel. You can find these options by going to the circle with the 4 squares in the bottom left if you're following along from the local monitor. That's going to be your start button, and you'll see these same options. It's going to say settings instead of function panel for you. So go ahead and click on where it says settings. Okay, I'm going to click on function panel, and then from this moment on, everything's going to be identical. All the buttons are going to be in the same spots. So one of the first things you're going to want to do is go ahead and go to your network section on your recorder. So go ahead and hit the big header network. And now over here, you're going to see an option that says Ethernet port 1 and Ethernet port 2. So your typical basic setup out of the box, Ethernet port 1, so your LAN 1, is going to be for your remote network connection. So go ahead and plug in your connection from your router or your local network into LAN port 1 on the recorder. The nice thing about the 2 LAN port units is it allows you to keep the cameras off of the local network when utilizing a PoE switch. So it's got a second network card in it. So go ahead and click on Ethernet port 2, and this is going to show you your IP information for your second Ethernet port. Okay, so this is going to be the IP scheme that you're going to need to set your cameras on. And what I mean by that, so the default when the unit is shipped out, it's going to be 192.168.3.200. You can change this to whatever you want, but whatever you change this to, your cameras are going to have to follow that scheme. So for instance, when I plug in my switch and my cameras, which we're going to get to, I'm going to want to address my cameras because this is a non-DHCP network. Okay, so when I plug my cameras in, they're not going to automatically assign them IP addresses. Okay, so I need to manually address the cameras in a 2 LAN port situation. So what I mean by that is you're going to have 192, let's say, in this example, .168.3.200 is my IP address of my second LAN. So what I'm going to want to do is address my cameras to 192.168.3, and then the last number is going to have to be different on each of my cameras. So I can start at .2, .3, .4, and so on, depending on how many cameras I'm plugging in my second LAN port unit. Okay. And now we're going to move on to the second part of this video, which I'm going to show you now the PoE switch and where to plug it in and all that information. Okay, so now we're looking at the back of the PN3A 16x16 FNH. So with this unit, you're going to notice it has 16 plug and play ports, so you can go ahead and put your direct camera connections into these ports here. Also on the back of the unit, you have LAN 1 and you have LAN 2 at the bottom. So again, LAN 1 is going to be for your remote network connection. You're going to connect that to your local network. LAN 2 is where you're going to put your external PoE switch. So this is a 32 channel unit. So it's capable of taking these 16 plug and play ports for direct camera connections. And then on your second LAN port, you're going to go ahead and input your external PoE switch for your cameras. So in this example, I have an 8-port PoE switch. I'm going to go ahead and take my uplink port of my PoE switch, plug in an Ethernet jack, and then I'm going to take the other end of my Ethernet jack and go ahead and plug that into LAN port 2. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and plug in my cameras into the PoE ports here in the back. So once I have my cameras plugged in, I'm going to then want to utilize a laptop at this point. I'm going to plug a laptop into, let's say, PoE port 8, and then we're going to go ahead and follow along for the next part of this video. So now that you have your cameras and your switch plugged in, you're going to go ahead and open up your IP manager tool on your laptop. So you can, there's a link in the description of this video to download this tool. So you can go ahead and download it there. So once you have the tool opened up, essentially what this is going to do is it's going to find your cameras that are connected to the switch. Okay, and they're probably all going to be the same IP address. They're going to be the default IP address because again, it's not a DHCP network. So the cameras are going to be labeled as 192.168.226.201, and you'll probably see all the cameras listed there. All you got to do is check the boxes for the cameras, or you can hit the all button to select them all. And then you're going to go down here to batch set net. And this is going to allow you to batch address the cameras all in one shot. So all you have to do is click on use the following, and you're going to go ahead and input the IP address that where you want the cameras to start at. So you're going to put in 192.168.3, and then you can just start at 101. Okay, and then from 101, it's going to fill in each of your cameras automatically, 101, 102, 103, depending on how many cameras you have. And then you're going to go ahead and click on batch set. It's going to address all the cameras. You're going to see a little green check mark when it's done under status. And once the cameras are addressed, you can close out of this tool. You're going to go back to your function panel on the recorder, and you're going to go to camera. And then you're going to go to add camera here in the top left. So from add camera now, you will find those cameras that you addressed to that corresponding IP address, the 192.168.3, and you're going to go ahead and check the boxes for those corresponding cameras that you addressed, and you're going to go ahead and click add here in the bottom right, and your cameras should all come online. Okay, now if you don't have a laptop with you and you're doing this off of the local monitor strictly, there is a way to do this. It's going to be a little bit more time consuming and tedious. So you can address each of the cameras by hitting this edit button here, and you can input the IP address manually one by one. If you have, let's say, a 64 channel unit and you're doing 50 cameras, doing this 50 times is going to be difficult and time consuming. So it's definitely more ideal to have a laptop because you can do them all in one shot. But if you do have, let's say, one of these 16 channel units that we're working on, and you're just doing it 16 times for maybe 16 additional cameras, this is a feasible way to do it. So you can come in here, type in the IP address, and do them one by one. You just need to put in the password for the camera at the bottom here, which is going to be 1234556, and go ahead and hit OK. And that's it. Once you add in your cameras, they should all come online, and you should be good to go.